Paul told Timothy that God had not given us the spirit of fear. And so that lets me know anytime fear is knocking at the door, it did not come from God. Because fear is actually the antithesis of faith. Faith has to do with steadfast reliance or confidence in a sovereign God. But whenever I allow fear to control me, according to the Hebrew writer in Hebrew 2:15, I am in fact in bondage. Because whenever you are controlled by fear, you are again in bondage. And tell your neighbor, it ain't no fun being in bondage. Tell two more folks and tell them it ain't no fun being in bondage. I don't know about you, but I don't like being in bondage. I don't like being wrapped up and tied up in something that's going to cause me a whole lot of pain. I said I don't like being wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up by something that's going to cause me a whole lot of pain, that's going to cause me a whole lot of heartache. And see, according to one writer, the Apostle John, he said that fear involves torment. See, whenever you are controlled by a spirit of fear, you have not been made perfect in love, because God is love, and the love of God casts out fear. And so it's time for some of us to make a decision that we're done being controlled by fear. But again, understand that fear at some point in your life will knock at your door. I'll tell your neighbor, yeah, fear knock at your door sometime. But tell them you can't let it come in. Tell your neighbor you have to fight to keep fear out. Now, the problem with a lot of us is that fear doesn't just knock on our door anymore. Fear comes and kicks our door in. Fear comes and controls us. Fear comes and takes control of our mind. And we are so controlled by the spirit of fear that it's to the point to where we can't even enjoy life for worrying about stuff all the time. I said there are folk that can't enjoy life because they're worrying about things that's out of their control. They're worrying about things that they don't have the ability to change. See, you have to recognize about yourself that you are limited, that there are just some things you can't do in and of yourself. Oh, when you ever come to that place, it will allow you to trust in a sovereign God. When you finally accept the reasoning that I can't fix every problem. It's broke, but I can't fix it. It needs to be mended, but I don't have the power, the resources, or the means to fix this problem. Some of you are battling things that you need to come to a conclusion that you are limited. You do not have all power. And the only way you're going to kick fear to the curb is that you've got to live by faith. Oh, I wish you shout, I'm going to enjoy life. See, I refuse to let fear control me because I'm going to enjoy life. Oh, I said I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to enjoy living. I'm going to enjoy prospering. I'm going to enjoy moving forward. Therefore, I've got to fight the spirit of fear. I got to fight when fear shows up and tries to grab my mind and tell me that things are not going to work out for me. I got to kick fear to the curb and let the devil know he's a liar, that this is my season despite the fact that I'm going through tough trials. I got to let the devil know this is my season, though certain things hadn't worked out the way that I thought they would work out. Yeah, I'll be honest, I thought it would have gotten better by now, but just because it hadn't happened on my timetable, I'm not going to let fear control me. I'm not going to spend sleepless night worrying about things that I can't control. You better tap somebody and tell them, you better kick fear to the curb. on. Fear is showing up to ruin your life. Fear is showing up to keep you miserable. Fear is showing up to keep you depressed. Fear is showing up trying to keep you po-mouthing, trying to keep you living beneath your privilege, trying to make sure you stay the tail, that you don't ever be the head, trying to make sure that you're always borrowing and never lending, trying to make sure that you're always scrapping and scraping, just trying to make ends meet. Oh, I'm preaching to somebody already. You better kick fear to the curb so you can stop living from paycheck to paycheck. You better kick fear to the curb so that you can get what God got for you. There's a blessing that's got my name on it. There's a miracle that's been assigned to me. There's a breakthrough that God says is there for the taking, but I gotta kick fear to the... Oh, I dare you to demonstrate and tell your neighbor, kick fear to the curb. You can't enjoy life being controlled by fear. Some folk battle things in their body, and when the thing attacks them, instead of them believing that by his stripes I already healed, they allow the spirit of fear to begin to tell them that, you know, this is what your cousin died with. This is what your grandmama couldn't overcome. And now this thing that took them out is going to take you out. And so they begin to go through things, and they begin to feel pressure on their heart, and the enemy shows up and begin to whisper in their ear that they got blockage in the heart, and that the arteries are all messed up, and that they're not going to live too many more days. Oh, tell your neighbor, you got to kick fear to the curve. And so they worry about things for weeks and months and years, only to later find out it was just a bad case of gas. But they spent months worrying that they was about to have a heart attack. Oh, I got some of your number. You looking for stuff to worry about. You looking for something to get all bent out of shape about. You don't enjoy peace, though God has provided it for you. Tell your neighbor, you better kick fear to the curve. It's trying to ruin your life. Some of us, God has blessed us, but we so controlled by fear and worrying that we can't enjoy the simple things in life. You say, Pastor, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm talking about when I see you riding, and I know that there's nothing wrong with your air, but because of the spirit of fear controlling you, you won't even ride in with your AC on because you fear that it might tear up the car. You're so controlled by a spirit of fear that you think you saving gas by riding and sweating and burning up. But if you would kick fear to the curve, you could actually let up your windows and enjoy a cool breeze as you go from one destination to the next destination. I dare you to slap your neighbor with a high five and shout, show it right. Oh, shout to somebody else, show it right. I got to enjoy life. What's wrong with me not eating the way I need to eat because I fear what bills are due? Some of you so controlled by fear that you don't ever get a break from it. Fear actually travels you with you everywhere that you go. You couldn't even go on vacation this year without taking the spirit of fear along with you. But I come to tell you, up in my house, fear don't pay no bills. So fear got to get up out of my house. Oh, I'm talking to somebody. You better enjoy life. You better enjoy this season that God has allowed you to come into, because it is a good season. And there's a rhema word from God that your latter days are going to be better than your former days. You battling, but that thing finna turn around. You going through, but that thing ain't gonna last always. I dare you to run to somebody and tell them, this is my year. Oh, you better tell them like you mean it. This is my year. It's time for me to enjoy life. It's time for me to stop being stressed out. I'm not going to have a nervous breakdown. I'm not going to worry about who like me and who don't like me. I'm not going to worry about who with me and who against me, because if God be for me, Who in the world can be against you? Shout to your neighbor, I'm more than a conqueror. If you're more than a conqueror, you should walk through fire. If you're more than a conqueror, you don't feel the fiery furnace because you know the God that you serve will get over in the furnace with you. And when you come out, you won't even smell like smoke. Some of you been going through, but it can't. Sit down, sit down. Some of us, we confusing folk. They think we don't ever go through that. But the devil is a lie. I'm going through it, but I ain't wearing what I'm going through. I'm not letting it show. I'm smiling anyhow. I'm praising anyhow. I'm up under something, but I refuse to sit down on the seat of do nothing. I got to get up and magnify God, because when the praises go up, the blessings will come